And now, the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
I'm Andrew Sabo.
And we're back again talking about episode 533, Something Blue, Part 1.
Correct.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We're starting to round out Album 41 in Hot Pursuit and our Connie and Mitch coverage. This is Something Blue, Part 1 and 2. That's it, guys.
What's the word? You said the
This is the penultimate?
Yes, the penultimate.
No, pen.
Oh,
penultimate.
Penultimate.
It's the penultimate episode of our Connie and Mitch coverage, which is the penultimate segment of our Novacom coverage.
Yes.
Because after this, we still have the Eugene returns.
It's very good. And
I started to panic when I was like, oh no. Like, we just have Something Blue 1 and 2, and then we're done? What do we do after that? And I was like, oh, wait, we still have 3 episodes of Eugene Returns. And we'll figure it out.
We got plans.
Oh, yeah, we got plans, folks. We'll probably...
You don't even know.
We'll probably address those in the next couple episodes.
In the next episode.
Yeah, maybe in the next episode. That would be a good spot.
Bye, guys.
It just means we gotta lock it down.
Yeah.
So this episode first aired November 15th of 2003. Nice fall episode. And it's written and directed by Kathy Buchanan. On a serious note here, folks, Kathy Buchanan's husband passed away this past weekend on Friday in a motorcycle accident. So that's
not good.
No, that's rather unfortunate.
Yeah.
And there is a GoFundMe that I will be linking in the show notes here. But yeah.
Yes. So sorry to hear about that.
She wrote and directed this because it's Connie and Mitch, and that's her thing.
That is her thing.
So yeah. All right. You wanna cover some guest appearances here?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Who do we got?
Okay. So we've got Corey Burton, the man, Crying Brian Dern, everyone's favorite.
Yes.
Coming back in as Philip Bernstein, who is the second of the 2 people to assess the compass. This is the one that is in a what was it? Was it boxing class with kickboxing class with Janelle?
Yeah.
So we get him playing another character, and then in one of the most interesting deep dives I've done, there's Ian Whitcomb is the guy who plays Mr. Gossamer, the first of the 2.
Yeah.
And
antiques people.
Yeah. So this is the guy who works for the Smithsonian. Whitcomb was a British singer in the 60s and 70s with a song that reached number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US.
What song is that?
It's called You Turn Me On.
And he ended up on this show.
And then after this show, between 2011 and 2014, he appeared in 6 adult videos. And that's all we're saying about that.
What? What? Wow. Another thing of note is that Mr. Gossamer's secretary is voiced by Kathy Buchanan.
I know. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah.
And Bob Hoose is in as an FBI agent because,
Of course he is.
Bob Hoose. I don't know which one he is. I really hope he's the one with the crazy accent.
It's gotta be.
But
Whitcomb
Whitcomb also plays an FBI agent. So, all right. So before we get into more of the episode, let's roll that promo.
On the next Adventures in Odyssey, romance is in the air when Connie visits Mitch in D.C. But the FBI is what's on Mitch's mind.
Welcome to the life of an FBI widow.
Is this what life is going to be like with an FBI agent? How can their relationship possibly survive? But the biggest surprise is yet to come. You'll have to hear it to believe it on the next Adventures in Odyssey.
The biggest surprise is that Mitch proposes and Connie says yes, as you could tell by the wedding music.
Yeah.
Love is in the air.
Love is in the air. That's the title of an episode as well.
Yeah.
Did
that's true.
we cover that episode? No, we didn't cover
No, that's not Novacom. That's all we have done. We've been doing this podcast for a year, and it's all been Novacom. And one episode about a popsicle kid.
Worth it. Totally worth it. So the episode picks up with Mitch.
With really good score.
Yes, with really good score.
And then Mitch.
And Mitch in like an FBI simulation. He's like, it's like he's going through training, some sort of simulation, terrorist, bad guy situation. Mitch charges ahead when he should wait for backup. He fails the simulation. Borland smacks him on the wrist.
Yeah. The FBI agent is very like, or like the bad guy is like playing like, he feels like a bad guy out of The Incredibles.
Yeah,
like he should just be like Bon Voyage.
Yeah, but
Like,
exactly.
it's
like like somebody from like a video game or something.
He's
like
weird.
that.
And we cut to the intro.
Yes. Hi, this is Andrew Sabu, and I'd like you to join us for a time of humor and analysis and all kinds of other fun stuff. Are you ready? Well, let's go for another episode of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
Before we cut back to like find out that this is a simulation.
Yeah.
Like it goes intro and then we're like, what's
happening?
going on? What's this case Mitch is working? It's a simulation.
It feels pretty like not real, to be honest with you. Like
I agree.
Like and I'm sure it's sound engineered to be that way.
Yeah, to make it sound like it's like in a room.
Yeah.
But also I don't believe that the FBI does trainings like this.
No, I don't
They do
at all.
It felt like an X-Men training,
or like one
like
of those
the
like
holodecks.
Yeah, or like training in like Call of Duty where you're like walking through a training facility and it's like and you have to shoot the pop-up paper thing like
Or like the couple of episodes of the Clone Wars where they're on the clone planet.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think this is how the FBI actually functions, but I don't know.
I hope it's not, to be honest with you.
Yeah, a little bit.
What are they up to these days?
And so Borland kind of pulls Mitch aside and gives him a shakedown where he's like, you need to follow protocol, stop, going after people because of, personal feelings and all that. Mm-hmm. Which is cool that there's a criticism of Mitch. Funny that the criticism is, Mitch, you're too nice of a guy. Yeah. But also, like, they then continue to praise him and make him out to be the best agent ever over the rest of the episode. Yeah. So, but he got a smack on the wrist here.
He did. He did. And then from here, we go to...
Well, we do find out a little bit more in Mitch and Borland's talk.
Oh, yes,
This is where they're talking about Mitch wanting to...
go into anti-terrorism.
Yeah, he wants to go to the International Law Enforcement Academy.
Mm-hmm. In
Budapest. Thing that exists.
In real life?
Yep. Oh. From the Wikipedia article. ILEAs are international police academies administered by the U.S. Department of State, where the U.S. law enforcement can instruct local police for participating countries in counterterrorism, narcotics, interdiction, detection of fraudulent documents, and border control practices. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, hey... we've got all the stuff. You guys want to come learn from us? Yeah. Which, like, I don't know if you've ever seen the series Mindhunter. It's on Netflix. It's very good.
Okay.
And the premise of a lot of that is it's set in, like, the 60s, and it's two guys who are on the FBI going around to local police departments in the U.S. and training those people, like giving lectures and that sort of thing. And so this feels like that, but internationally and a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
I mean, and
Share
to be
the
honest,
wealth a little bit.
it's a bit larger than life. Like as far as like, it feels like the perfect thing that a character like or that Mitch's character would want to do, because it is the closest thing to like a superhero kind of like.
Yeah.
Like it's you kind of do everything, and Borland's asking him like, like, I would love to have you stay with me and work in forensics. Like we could really use you here, and then you would.
But he needs to go into anti-terrorism.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I really want to go into anti-terrorism,
Which I think counterterrorism is the term.
Yeah,
not anti-terrorism, but I'll give Mitch a pass.
I think they use both.
Maybe
in
they
the
do.
episode. I think.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
Yeah. I think both are mentioned. But the whole thing with it is like it's already filled up, and they usually want people who have 2 years of field experience. But Borland's like, well, maybe they'd waive it for you, which is like, how good is Mitch? Like, I realize he's got experience taking down Novacom, and like he worked as kind of like as an unofficial agent from within and stuff, but like 2 years of field experience with the FBI
is very different than what he's been doing.
Yeah.
Which I guess I would say was kind of because he was working with the FBI before with Novacom, wasn't he?
No.
Oh, no, he wasn't.
He wasn't until they killed him.
Until killed. Yeah.
Yes,
until he was...
air quotes that I cannot put in my voice, apparently. So
then from here we go to Joanne and Connie, right?
yeah, well, we go to the Borland's home.
Yeah.
Where we get to see Michaela again, who is not Mike at all in this episode.
No.
They have leaned
Very hard.
Like that has completely resolved itself.
That is an overnight transformation.
She
that
is
not at all acknowledged.
No longer in a cast?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like she was
mentioned.
in a sling before, but yes, she's now wearing a grass skirt made of weeds.
Yeah.
Which sounds terrifying
and very itchy.
And they're having like a Hawaiian themed evening.
Yeah, there's a pineapple upside down cake.
Yep.
With a little bit of grass in it.
Yeah.
And Borland is late for dinner.
Of course.
And so we have this discussion with Mrs. Borland.
Janelle.
Yeah, Janelle of Dirty Computer fame. Talking with Joanne and Connie about kind of like the trials and tribulations of being a FBI wife. Like him not coming home on time, and then Michaela chimes in and being like, yeah, but you get I'm sorry flowers, and to which Janelle is kind of like oddly shushy about, which is weird.
Well, no, I get it. Like,
yeah,
it's I don't like that's one of those things that you like maybe keep more in the family than just being like, yeah, let's tell everyone about I'm sorry flowers. But,
or like, I don't know. To me it could be a lot worse.
But yeah, and she says then she says welcome to the life of an FBI widow.
Yeah.
Which is this whole idea that like Borland's never around.
Yeah. And then there's the whole discussion from that where it's like, well, like, Connie's like, well, don't you ever get tired of it? Like, he's never here. Like,
right.
It's got to be so hard. And Janelle's really, really sweet, and she's like, yeah, but it's tough and it's and difficult sometimes, but like I do love him, and like he loves his job, and I know that like he's doing a really cool thing by putting himself in danger to keep other people safe. And so I just have to remember the fact that like, one, he's doing a good thing, and two, I love him, so like that makes it worth it. And so I can support him, even though sometimes it, well, more often than not, it negatively affects me.
Yeah, and she also brings up a time that he was held hostage for 2 days, and this whole big thing.
Exactly.
We also get a conversation between Janelle and Joanne where she's kind of questioning why Joanne like is so set on donating this Compass money.
Yeah. To the church,
right? Because she is like, well, just like take a vacation with Jack. Like, that'll be good for you. And she's generally, I don't know, like we don't really unless next episode completely proves me wrong, I don't know that we ever really learn anything about the Borland's faith or any of
probably
that.
not, I can imagine.
Which I appreciate the show for not like forcing in there.
Yeah.
But this conversation made me kind of think, I wonder.
They're
I
not
wonder
super
where
religious.
Right. That kind of comes across like they're not in it for that. But yeah. And Joanne just comes back and is just like, look, like I love that church. I want to see it thrive. Like,
yeah.
It hurts me, and she's even talking. I think later on, but she talks about the fact that by marrying Jack, it meant that she travels a lot less and doesn't get to have as active a role in these.
Yeah,
and so
I think that
she
happens
feels,
later.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I said that. I said
okay.
I think this comes up later, but yeah. So she talks a little bit about
she's very heavily invested in it, and also
it's a way that she can stay involved and
she does really care about it, and so from there then do we go back to Mitch? Or
so this is when Mitch and
Mitch
Borland
shows up.
Yeah. Borland comes in, and then Mitch is
has to
basically
leave.
like, I gotta go. He and Connie step outside.
Yeah, because Connie's disappointed that he can't stay.
Yeah. So they have their conversation outside where he's got a legal exam the next morning and can't be has to get home, and seems really surprised at the amount that Connie's upset about this.
Yeah. He's like, "Are you upset?" And Connie, the way that she responds is interesting, because I thought she would say, "I'm not upset, I'm disappointed," kind of situation. But she's kind of like, "Well, yeah, a little bit." Yeah. And then she goes outside and a really actually good level of maturity is very real and open about her feelings, and actually I am disappointed in this. I feel like we don't get to talk, and I miss you and I want to see you. And then Mitch is talking about I might get a 9-to-5 desk job, that's what most people get, unless
it's just these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's just these last 2 weeks. Once I graduate training, it'll be better, unless of course I get into the international police academy is what you said? Or
the ILEA.
Yeah. Unless I get in there, then I'll have I'll travel a ton and be working weird hours. But he kind of glosses over that.
Yeah.
And to which Connie, I don't know if she finds real solace in that, or is I think it's upsetting to her. I don't think it's really super consoling in the moment.
No, she's not reassured by what he's telling her, which fair enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. Good Lord. Mitch is kind of a jerk in this, at least. And I mean, he's not a jerk, but he's very, very distracted.
Yeah. And then, so we go from there to Connie and Joanne going to get the compass evaluated
at the Smithsonian,
kind of what we've been trying to get to for the last couple episodes. And Janelle makes a comment earlier about not being able to go, and Connie's like, "Oh, I'll go there and play hardball." And, really, not be silent cop. And so so this guy at the Smithsonian is in a not
Mr. Gossamer, right?
Yeah, he initially comes on pretty excited about it, and makes some positive comments, and then sees a
S insignia
S on the
looks
back,
like it,
and is like, "Oh, that means it's a replica. It's worth about $100. Get out of here."
Yeah. And it's really, upsetting, because he does really build it up to be this is actually a good thing. Look, this needle looks authentic. Yep. And Joanne is visibly getting very excited, and then obviously he drops it off by being no, this is really it's a replica. It's of no value. The most you'll get is $100 for it, at a pawn shop or something like that.
Right.
And he's kind of get out of here. And Joanne's obviously very upset by this. And this is where we get actually a very interesting dialogue between Joanne and Connie about Joanne being disappointed because she really cares about these people and wants to give them she wants to help them repair it, but it's also her identity is weird because she was so connected to this church, and like the ability to help this church that she cares about is like so much a part of her, and if she can't do that, she feels like she's less good or less valuable.
And she's also like, all that's also tied up in her feeling ridiculous for having driven this
all the
whole way to do this.
Like it's a waste of time.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, there's no way she didn't spend more than $100 to get.
Oh yeah.
Get there.
It's
and
definitely
so,
a net loss.
Yeah.
And Connie's really good about it. Like, once again, like Connie's like super reassuring and comforting. Is like, you know, you do so much good in Odyssey. Just because you can't do this right now doesn't mean that you aren't doing good ministry. Like, she brings up like a single mom's ministry and teaching Sunday school and being a good husband, being good for her husband and wit and stuff. And Joanne is then kind of reveals a bit more of her backstory, where she's like, well, I knew when I was getting married, like I was going to have to give up my kind of gallivanting days of ministry.
And this seems like a turning point where she's now viewing this in a more positive light.
Yeah.
Like, up until then, she's kind of bemoaning all this stuff, and then Connie makes that point. She's like, well, yeah, like, I did feel called to, you know, at this point in my life, minister to, support Jack. Like, that's,
exactly,
you know, be an Odyssey, not go around doing all this other stuff.
Yeah, what she says, like, support Jack and minister to Wit, because Wit is obviously a good friend of hers.
Yeah.
Which is really good, and then because that's also that then kind of plays into Connie's experience previously, where it's like, well, having this, you can still be doing a good thing by playing a very background or supporting role of other people. And so Connie kind of then turns it into, oh, well, you know, maybe this is what like God wants me to do for Mitch, and like maybe like this is how this works. It's just that like I can give it up to support Mitch because
it's similar to because Connie's just kind of like, oh, I don't have anything going on, like maybe my role is to support Mitch, similar to a few episodes back when Joanne's like, well, we solved it by getting married, and Connie's kind of like, oh, and here again she's like, oh, like kind of reading into seeing someone else's relationship and how it works and being like, oh, well, like that's how mine also should function.
Yeah, it's okay to
like,
give
I
it
can
up
do that.
And go for that, like, which
and so she also gets flowers from Mitch. Her first.
She gets I'm sorry flowers.
And we have a conversation where Joanne's kind of talking about how rough this whole thing was with Janelle, and Janelle's like, well, I've got a friend who deals in this sort of thing. Like, let me have him reassess it and come back to you and whatnot. And then we go to a scene of Mitch coming into his apartment to find Connie there.
This is a great scene.
She has gotten his schedule from the FBI somehow, and then climbed
from the college, I guess, or from
and then climbed into his apartment through a balcony.
Through the lower stories balcony, and then stacks lawn furniture to climb up with groceries and a blender.
Yeah.
Which, couldn't she have just climbed up and then unlocked the door and then taken it up the...
Yeah.
The sad thing is that I listened to the episode twice, and it was only the second time around that I realized that was an option.
Yeah, I immediately was like, you didn't do this the right way, Connie. It wasn't boarded up.
And that's the difference between you and me, Dylan. I was like, you gotta do that.
But yeah, so she sets up this whole meal that Mitch refers to as Betty Crocker meets Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, what is it?
Everything ends in A, so it's a souffle. It's artichoke souffle.
Yeah,
and
something green bean flambe.
Green bean flambe. The centerpiece is modeled after a Monet.
Yeah,
there's
sorbet for dessert. I think there's another one, isn't there?
There is another one. I'm trying to see if it's referenced in here. Nope, it's not in the quote section.
Good Lord, what is it?
But
there's a third. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so she comes in and sets all this up for Mitch, and Mitch comes home and she's like, "You're late," and Mitch is like, "Well, no, I'm not. We didn't have a set time." And she then explains that how she had done all this stuff and had
she'd like reheated it 3 times.
Yeah, and
she did his wash.
yeah,
Which was supposed to be dry cleaned.
yeah,
And
of course.
it's another thing of Connie just having the best intentions and completely botching the thing.
Yeah,
Which
she makes a paper mache mountain scene out of his laundry basket.
Yeah.
In his bedroom.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate like kind of trope with Connie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, she did a great job with dinner. It seemed like.
Yeah.
Although it is later revealed that she forgot the top on the blender, so there's stuff on the ceiling.
Right. Yep. And Mitch burns his mouth on the flambe.
Yeah.
And there's
how is it still on fire?
I
Presumably they are soaking in alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad.
It's
but I
rough.
do like her whole rhyme scheme thing.
Yeah, and it's super cute because she gets a candle display and she decorates and is like, is so sweet. And like Mitch comes in and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I stayed late working on this report, this like super long forensics report, something like that."
Yeah. Some report.
And she's like, "Oh, like I'd love to hear about it over dinner and stuff." And then they sit down and things go south from there.
Yeah. And then she's talking the next, because that's kind of where that ends. Like, it's him burning his mouth, and then we kind of cut away.
No, he burns his mouth, and then she gives him water to drink from the candle display.
Correct.
And it's on fire, and there's all that, and then Connie goes to get him more water, and then spills water all over his file.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the water on the file. Jeez.
Which is a big deal. And then...
Yep, and that's where we cut away?
Yeah. It's like very, very damp.
Leave the scene. Hectic.
Audio engineering's pretty good, though.
Yeah, it is. It is well engineered. And then we get... Kathy Buchanan must have just had the most fun writing this next bit, because it's Connie recapping the night for Joanne.
Yeah.
And she goes... she starts out, it was awful. I worked all day on the souffle. Then he burned his mouth on the flambe. So I said to drink the Monet display, but he said no way. We never even got to the sorbet. And then Joanne says bad day.
Yeah.
And Janelle says okay.
Yeah.
And it's
so good.
Like,
it's
I'm like,
so
oh,
good.
I would love to, like, that's the sort of thing that's just got to be fun to write.
Yeah. Oh.
And then Bernstein shows up.
Yeah, Bernstein shows up, which he reminds me a lot of Mr. Holstein from like Holstein's books.
Oh,
that whole
interesting.
bit with Katrina and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a Holstein's books, and
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
big books and little books, and
The thing with Holstein is it feels like a real accent.
Yeah.
Bernstein feels like he is a man putting on an accent.
Yeah.
Which is,
Well, it's two opposite sides of the coin. So one feels like a caricature, and the other
Right.
feels like it's an actor using an accent.
Yes. And so we go to...
The second antique appraisal, right?
Yeah. And so Bernstein comes in, Janelle explains how they met, they show him the compass, and he's like, yeah, I'll give you $12,000 for it right here on the spot.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
That's an expensive compass.
That is an expensive compass. Also, they were just told that it was worth
Nothing.
$100, maybe? And this is $12,000.
That's a lot more than that.
That's so much.
And then they do the whole and then the thing is, Joanne's like, well, yeah, if it's as valuable as you say, that'd be great. And to which the guy replies, didn't I just say that I'm the expert? Take my money, darn it.
Yeah,
woman.
It's funny.
It's really
so
good.
yeah. So Connie's gonna have the money to, or Joanne is going to have the money.
Yeah.
Connie gets none of it, but Joanne's gonna get the money to build
the church.
Yeah, rebuild the church, which is awesome.
Yeah, which is really great.
And then Borland comes in, and he brings up the fact that or he was there, but he walks out of a room or something.
Yeah,
Regardless,
yeah.
he finds out that and tells everyone that Mitch got the position with the LEA
in Budapest,
right.
which is where's Budapest?
Hungary.
Yeah. Or like Brussels, maybe. No, Brussels is
in a
Belgium.
country, but Brussels is a town.
Turkey.
I'm gonna be right with Hungary, but we'll Google it anyways.
Hungary. You're right.
Don't
Dylan
argue
was
with
right.
me, Andrew.
Dylan was right.
Can we release those T-shirts? Will you make
Dylan
those
was
T-shirts
right.
for
Yeah,
me?
I'll gladly make those T-shirts.
Yeah, and so Connie, like, basically, well, and so Borland, she's like, oh man, like these past 16 weeks have been really hard with Mitch being here, which is like, 16 weeks, good to know.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I don't even know how I'd do another 16 with him being in Budapest, and Borland's like, 16, it would be 2 years.
Yeah. It would be 2 years of him being gone.
And so Connie runs out and runs into Mitch.
Yep.
She's like, all right, I'm going to go have this conversation.
Yeah.
And in like classic soap opera-y style, she walks in and starts yelling at him about something that he doesn't know about yet because he hasn't found out the news.
That he got accepted.
Right. And this is news that he is excited about.
Yeah.
So it's like awkward for
Like,
that
how
reason.
could you? And he's like, how could I do what?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Did
Did I miss an anniversary?
Yeah. Poor Mitch.
Yeah.
And then, so like, Connie's super upset at Mitch. And then...
And he's like, well, what if we got married? The
like, what if you
FBI
came
would
with
let
me?
would let me take, like, we would be allowed to come on if you were my wife.
Yeah.
We would have, like, the downtime to spend together, like, that sort of thing. Won't be as crazy as this. And so Connie's like, okay. Like, let's do this thing. And
Sounds
Mitch is
like a plan.
Well, like, I have to leave Wednesday. And she's like, okay, well, then we gotta, like, do it now, like 3 days from now.
Yeah.
And we go out on the music, on, like, the wedding bell music.
Yeah. Oh boy. What a climax.
Yeah.
It happened.
So-
There was a proposal that she turned down.
Right.
Now she says
now
yes.
She turned down a proposal. Then we had a long period of strife in which they were at odds with each other, and now she has accepted a proposal.
Exactly.
Because that's how you solve problems, folks.
Yeah. Oh, that makes a lot of logical sense.
But, like, you can see, like, they do a really good job of setting up the steps.
Oh, no,
And
totally, yeah.
You can see the parallels between what Joanne did and
what the
what
people
Connie's
around
now
her.
doing.
She's thinking, like, this,
and
this could be a thing.
Yeah.
And, like, I as much as I'm against it, like, I think if Connie had spent more time thinking about what starting over would entail, because there's more to it than just, like, getting married in a rushed fashion is a bad idea for you as for your relationship, but also, like, what does it mean to move to another country where you know literally nobody and make, like, new friends and don't speak the language, and your
I'll learn
husband's in
Budapestese.
yeah. I believe it's Hungarian.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah. So she's definitely rushing into it.
Yeah.
But
Go for it. I had a bit of a thought, like, and I don't know if I've addressed it yet, but the idea that, like, what Connie seems to be searching for is, like, the silver bullet as to what to do with her life is, like, really, I don't know if it's addressed as the wrong way to go about it, because it feels like she's searching for, like, the exact scenario that God wants. Like, there's 60 cards or something like that, and there's only one of them that God likes.
yeah.
And what we get out of that is her, like, constantly questioning herself and not knowing if she's doing the right thing. And it's a trap that I myself fall into all the time, where it's like,
Me too.
am I doing the best thing? because
Well, and I think we talked about it back
Yeah.
in like the Frank's Breakfast Inn era, where
Yeah.
we're like, maybe God's will is not a specific path that you can't deviate from. Maybe just like trusting in Him,
yeah,
following what He has laid out for you, means you're existing in His will.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
maybe it's more of a spectrum, or
Yeah.
like the path is wide and there are multiple paths that still
Yeah.
align with God's will for you.
Yeah, and
not
maybe
like
God
he's
didn't like ordain what you're gonna eat for breakfast tomorrow morning. Like,
Yeah.
oh boy. Yeah, it's good though. Like it feels like a very realistic episode.
Yep.
Which I will say, like last episode was very good in that, and this episode is the same. So
Yeah, especially after getting off of our two more like TV
yeah.
episodes.
more tropey,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. You got any other thoughts for the episode? Because
I'm
kinda ready
I'm
to-
plumb tuckered out. I've shared my piece. My tie is too tight, and it's time.
Yeah. That brings us to the conclusion of this episode. Anything you want to plug?
No, not right now. No, sorry.
I'm also plugging nothing. So that's it for our conversation, and we will be back in a week to talk about Something Blue Part 2
The final Mitch episode
that we're covering.
that we're covering.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye. Sorry, Kathy.
Aw.
Rest in peace.
Wadfam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at Wadfam Chalk Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Episode 39, Something Blue Part 1, was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Acebo, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us next time for more of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.